I made my video about the drawbacks of Mexico so people would know what they're getting into before moving or retiring here. Now I think it's only fair to present the advantages we've experienced since moving here, and there are a bunch. People are friendly. Almost everyone here is nice. Honestly, I was thinking they should resent us since we're from the US, where the current administration has been using inflammatory rhetoric against Mexico and immigrants, and us being wealthier, I just figured they would hate us. This hasn't been the case at all. I mean, I speak Spanish, so I think that helps, but they're just by nature friendly, and it's been great. I find the celebrations here to be very family friendly. I feel like in the US, big celebrations are all about VIP access, security's heavy, metal detectors have become part of many events, and it just ruins the vibe. I really feel safe in these celebrations, and just included despite being a foreigner. I mean, it's very easy to tell I'm not Mexican. But on the whole, people go out of their way here to be helpful, and I've definitely felt that in the US too, but people are just as supportive here and much more inclusive. For example, the Day of the Dead is probably the most important holiday here. The basis is beautifully illustrated in Coco is the importance of family, both present and deceased. The artwork in the festival is really cool, but to me what was so nice was the amount of free stuff they had for all the kids who definitely were having a wonderful time. Depending on where you are in Mexico, you can easily drive here. Despite what you hear about the dangers of Mexico, it's very safe to drive here. But to be fair, in some areas you shouldn't drive at night. It's fine here in Quintana Roo, but in other areas, literally farm animals roam out onto the highways and go to sleep because it's warm there, sort of crazy. And there is the prospect, I guess, of crime at night on highways. Not something to worry about majorly, but just something apparently is best to avoid. We haven't done it. This is only from my reading in other forums. And flights to Mexico are relatively inexpensive, and there are many well-serviced airports. Advantage, Mexico. Healthcare here is better in many ways. If you've watched my other video on healthcare, you know they never ask, what type of insurance do you have? But rather, you go right in and you see the doctor. Our doctor never rushes us and often spends an hour with us discussing our symptoms and treating us, and sometimes just chatting, to be honest. But he definitely takes the time for us. When he's done, our bill is the same as our deductible used to be in the US, which is usually around $50, and then there's no insurance to deal with. We do have a health insurance policy with a $5,000 deductible, which is about a quarter of the cost it would be in the US as a backstop, but overall, healthcare without having to deal with insurance is really sort of dreamy. The cost of housing, which was our biggest cost in the US, is much more reasonable here in Mexico. We went from our house in the suburbs of San Francisco, which was walking distance to nothing. It did have a pool, to this place, which is across the street from the beach, walking distance to Starbucks, cafes, and a golf course with a pool, gym, and tennis court for about half of what our house cost back in the US. Dining options here are plentiful. Mexican cuisine is now world-renowned, and here in Playa, we have most cuisines of the world represented with abundance of Italian restaurants, which are my favorite. You can see my reviews on the best bread, brunch, sushi, and Mediterranean restaurants here in Playa, and you can judge for yourself how good it looks. You'll have to come here and actually taste it to find out how good it really is, though. The pace of life is much less rushed here. People work really hard, but there's much less of a concept of the rat race. You're supposed to take your time. At restaurants, you have to ask for a check, as it's never given to you and you're expected to linger. There are an abundance of public spaces for people to hang out and celebrate in, and here families just, gather like on the beach all day on Sundays just to be together. Your success in Mexico seems to be defined by how well your family is doing and how well they're being taken care of, as opposed to the US where it's how much money you make. Ancestors are really respected here. The Day of the Dead celebration is all about the ancestors. And homelessness is really taken care of by the families taking all their families in. It's not the endemic problem here that it is in the US. Politics is not a part of the daily conversation. While politics is important, I would not describe the environment here to be politicized. It's not like in the States where more and more each political party despises each other and they're not seeking to work together. It seems like the US is entering a cycle where half the people are miserable with their leadership all the time. It's just not like that here. They don't love their politicians, but it doesn't divide them. The beaches, the Mayan ruins, and cenotes are all incredible. Most parts of Mexico have amazing natural and cultural attractions, but in this little section, I'm going to keep these comments all about Playa. Our beaches here are amongst the best in the world. Many of them are easily accessible to the public. The turquoise water is an A+. The sand is feathery soft, and the water down here is very gentle with extremely shallow entry. If you like to surf, well, I guess this area of Mexico isn't great, but if you like to paddleboard, sail, jet ski, e-foil, which is like that standing surfboard thing with the motor, or even kite surf, which is on Playa 72 here in Playa del Carmen, it's ideal. So the wildlife here is abundant. I mean, we're on the edge of a tropical jungle, and we see iguanas, coatis, aguatis, and tropical birds daily. The Mayan ruins here are also outstanding in this part of Mexico. Chichen Itza, which is one of the 7 wonders of the world, is just part of a network of Mayan ruins, many of which are breathtaking. Lastly, the natural cenotes are pools in an underground river system that you can explore, snorkel, scuba, or just chill out in and spend the day. Cancun was planned with tourism in mind, and as a consequence, we have a world-class airport here, where you can fly directly from most major cities in the United States. Like New York, for example, there are 11 nonstops a day during peak season, and there are still 8 nonstops during the middle of the summer. As you can see, it's located very close to the middle of the US, which means the longest flight times to most US cities is around 3 hours. You can also fly nonstop to most countries in Europe and South America on a daily basis. Based on my personal travel experience, even with the added customs and immigration time, my travel time is not any different than flying in the US. It's safe. I bet you didn't expect to see that here. When we first moved down, I can't tell you how many times I heard the question from my fellow countrymen, is it safe? Is it safe? Again, I'm speaking from personal experience, and obviously if you want to find danger here, you can go to the area of the country where the cartels are in conflict or operating in earnest. But if you go to most towns here, you're going to be fine. When I lived in San Francisco, I found myself a victim of crime several times, and I definitely felt unsafe in many instances. That simply doesn't occur in Playa del Carmen, or the neighboring city of Merida, which has been ranked as the safest city in North America. Apparently there is petty theft here in Playa. I know one person who had their wallet stolen and one person who had their pocketbook stolen, but I haven't heard of any violent crime, so yeah, it's safe. So hopefully you can see Mexico has a lot going for it. It's a great place to be, and you should figure out if it works for you to move or retire here. You can watch my drawbacks video of Mexico, and you can weigh the cons for yourself. As usual, make sure to like and subscribe if you want, and I'll see you guys in Mexico.